Hi everyone! Welcome to English Club, a place where learning English is fun, active, and inspiring. Here we don't only learning about grammar and vocabulary, but also practice speaking, public speaking, discussion, and teamwork. In English Club, we learn to express our ideas with confidence and grow together. And today, we have guests from Canada. Let's see!
Yeah, thank you very much for coming. My name is Kieran, as I mentioned. I am from Canada, and I won't get too much of an introduction to myself today because I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to ask a few questions in English because I know all of you are interested in learning more English and practicing. And today we can keep it simple. We don't need to worry if we make any mistakes today. So if you want to ask me anything and you don't know exactly how to say it, that's totally okay. I speak a little bit of Indonesian, but you probably speak better English, much better English than I speak Indonesian. I mostly know how to say words around food. So, I am from Canada. I'm here today with my lovely wife, Dila. Dila was born in Puerto, and she moved to Canada when she was 14. And when she moved to Canada, her English was not that great. But she worked really hard and she learned English, and now she is speaking so fluently that Canadians can't tell that she is from somewhere else, which is really amazing. I think that's really cool. So give a round of applause to Dila. So Dila is definitely my inspiration for being here today. When I came and visited her family for the first time, a lot of her family are teachers. And because I'm learning Indonesian at a very basic level, there was first a little joke that maybe I should join one of their classes, the elementary school kids, and sit in the tiny desks and learn how to speak Indonesian. But then it was suggested that I actually come and talk to students who were interested in learning English. And I love that idea because I would love to meet you guys. I think that's really cool. So I just wanted to open up the floor quickly and see if anybody had any questions to start us off. Is there anything you wanted to know about Canada, about me, about where I live? Anybody? I do have some...
Hello, my name is Nurna Diva, but everyone call me Ifa, yes. It's a pleasure to have you here with us today. And thank you for sharing your story and experience with us. I'm very nervous.
That's okay.
Okay, may I ask you a question?
Yes.
How is school life in Canada for international students, and what makes it unique compared to other countries? Thank you.
Thank you. Do you mean school life as in high school students?
Mostly yes, and maybe the college.
And college?
Yes.
Okay. I can speak a little bit about college. And then Dila actually has more experience in high school as an international student. But in college, or university as we call it in Canada, there's a lot of international students. I think one of the things about Canada that a lot of people here don't really expect is that Canada does not have a group of people that look all the same way, if that makes sense. So Canada has a lot of different cultures that are all Canadian. People from different colors of skin, different backgrounds, all of them are Canadian. And then we have people coming in as either temporary or to immigrate here full-time to Canada. I would like to think that they have different opportunities when they come to Canada, and that I hope they have a really good experience. I think Canadians are generally polite people who want to welcome new people into their country, into their homes. I can't speak for the entire country of Canada on that. There are, of course, problems everywhere, but I think most of my international student friends who came in university, I did a University of Finance and Economics degree. I had friends from all over the world, and I think they had a really good time here in Canada. And some of them went on to stay and continue to live in Canada. Others went back home. Does that answer your question, or was there a little more?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Who else? Maybe you want to know about Canada. Please ask it. I think that.
I want to ask about what if I move to Canada tomorrow? What is the thing that made me like culture shock about Canada? Thank you.
There's a couple things, and I'll speak to it on like what surprised me about Indonesia, and that might answer your question a little bit. The first thing is if you move to Canada tomorrow, it would be minus 20 degrees Celsius in most places. Canada is a very large country. So where I went to university, which is a town called Guelph, which is also where I met my wife, my lovely wife. That was actually about 4,000 kilometers away from my home town in British Columbia. It's on an island called Vancouver Island. So a lot of people, I think, are surprised about just how big Canada is because they see some of the cool national parks and some of the cool attractions, and they think, oh, I'm in Toronto, maybe I'll just take a day trip over to the Rocky Mountains. And they didn't realize that it's 3.5 days of driving continuously without breaks. I think the other thing that you might be a little bit shocked about, here in Indonesia, what I've noticed is outside, there is a lot of signs, a lot of things happening, a lot of traffic. It's really flourishing with people selling things, creating new businesses, but it is very vibrant and very bright and very busy. And Canada only has about 35 million people, where Indonesia is the 4th most populous country in the world. And when you have a country that is so huge with so few people, the streets, when you come to Canada and you drive on them, you'll be like, wow, there's so much road here and so few cars. The lanes are huge, but there's nobody driving on them. I think that'll be a little bit shocking.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So these are little syrup hardened into a candy, and Does anybody know what maple syrup is? Yeah. Do you know how it's made? No? It's a pretty cool process. So the maple tree, it's just a tree. It looks just like other trees. It's got big leaves. What people do is they tap it. So they put a little tap inside of the tree, and they drain the sap. The sap. And the sap of the tree gets put into these buckets, and then they boil it down. And it takes about, I believe, 60 liters of maple sap to make 1 liter of maple syrup. And then these candies are concentrated even more. So that's what you're eating, is a delicacy from Canada. Any questions? Any other questions?
My name is Vivian, and I'm really curious with how metal creamer is in Canada, especially for tourists, because maybe some tourists won't be really good at grammar. Yeah.
Generally, when people, and I hope I answered this correctly. Sorry if I get this wrong, but generally, when people want to communicate, they will. And if there is, a language barrier, because Canada actually has 2 official languages, English and French, often Canadians themselves have a language barrier. There are people in Canada that do not speak English, and so they don't know the grammar. And I have friends who I've met in traveling Canada that didn't speak English, and I spoke a little French. But the important thing is that we wanted to communicate. And when that happens, you can make friends. You can visit, and that's okay. I think Canadians are generally pretty friendly if you want to ask how to find something, or help. If you don't know where you are, if you're lost, Canadians are generally pretty helpful on that. And if you can't say it perfectly, I think that's okay. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I would like to ask if is there any food would you recommend to us if we go to Canada? Thank you.
For sure. So I think the most popular answer for that would be poutine, which is fried potatoes, French fries, with cheese curds and gravy. It's from Quebec, the French part of Canada. I'm actually from the West Coast, and over there, I think the most popular answer would be smoked salmon. So the Indigenous people of Canada have a way of smoking the salmon over a wood fire. So just on the beach, they use cedar wood and a plank, and they smoke the salmon, and it's really delicious. You should definitely try it. It's my favorite. I would love to share some, but I don't have any today, but I highly recommend that.
Hello, my name is Diana. I want to ask, when I go on holiday to Canada, which place do you recommend it I visit?
So I live in the Rocky Mountains of Canada in a place called Banff National Park. And when you go there, that's actually, I'd love to show you some photos of that after the meeting. It is a really beautiful place with really high mountains, snow-capped peaks, and alpine lakes, which are really bright blue. Really bright blue. I think that's a good one, yeah.
The tree is larger than 10 inches in diameter. You can add another tab for every 5 additional inches in diameter. Don't reuse holes from year to year. Move over horizontally several inches every year. You can tap any side of the tree. I use and recommend a 5/16 inch drill bit so the tree can heal up faster. Match the drill bit size to the size of spiles you're using. Incline the drill slightly so the sap drains out and drill the hole about 1.5 to 2 inches deep. Tap the spile in lightly just to create a good seal. Position the drop tube into your food-safe collection vessel. You can use a milk jug, 2-liter bottle, or 5-gallon bucket. One tap will give you about a gallon a day during the peak of the season. I usually collect the sap from these containers about once a day. I store the sap at 40 degrees Fahrenheit for no more than a week before boiling. Once you have about 5 gallons of sap, you can go ahead and start the boiling process. Boil your sap outdoors over a fire to limit the amount of steam in your home. You can use a wood fire. I use a propane burner so I can control the heat, start and stop easier, and it reduces the smoky flavor of the maple syrup. Boil the sap in a stainless steel pot or pan. I use a pan because it increases the surface area for faster evaporation. If you have any ice in the
So essentially they're boiling it down right now, and they're taking their time to do it so it doesn't burn. We don't want it to over caramelize.
You have about half a gallon left. Bring it inside.
And so they started with 5 gallons, which is about 19 liters, and then they moved to half a gallon, which is about half a gallon is about 2 liters, I believe.
It will start off around 212 degrees Fahrenheit and slowly rise to 219. This depends on the boiling point of water at your altitude. Essentially, you want to keep the syrup to 7 degrees above the boiling point of water in your area. I recommend boiling it on medium heat. Just keep an eye on it and don't let it boil over. As the temperature gets close to 219 degrees Fahrenheit, use a refractometer to start checking the sugar content. These are great devices. I got this one for about $20 and it's so much easier to use than a hydrometer. I'll put a link in the description if you're interested in how it works. When the sugar content hits 66 bricks, you're done. Let it cool to 190 degrees Fahrenheit, then pour it through an Orlon filter and then into your jars or bottles. Use clean bottles and pour in the hot sap. Put the lid on and tighten it up. As the sap cools, it will create a vacuum and seal the jars for you. You can keep sealed jars at room temperature for years. Keep opened jars in the refrigerator. There are a lot of details here, so I put together a free one-page PDF cheat sheet on the website. I'll put a link to that in the video description. Download as many copies of that as you want. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope this can be a fun family hobby for you for years to come.
So that was actually probably an American who's making maple syrup in the northern states of the US, probably Vermont. And you can tell because in the United States, they use Fahrenheit and they use gallons. But in Canada, we use liters and we use Celsius. So that's a very detailed explanation of how to make maple syrup. To make the maple candy, that heating part where they had the thermometer in there and they were heating it 7 degrees above boiling point, if you continue even higher than that, that's where you start to make the candy. But once it cools, it hardens at that point. If you want syrup, you don't go too hot. If you want candy, you go a little hotter.
What food go well with maple syrup besides pancake and candy? Thank you.
Thank you. And by the way, all of you have really good English. It's been really amazing hearing your questions so far. I would say cookies, yes. Cookies are really good with maple. Something a little less sweet. Remember when I mentioned smoked salmon? So there's actually some maple smoked salmon that's also really good. Yeah. Other than that, some people put it into a drink with maybe some soda water, maybe some lemon. It's really good. Some people use it as a sweetener, so similar to how you might use honey to sweeten something, you can use maple syrup. You can use it to sweeten your coffee or your pies if you want to bake, things like that.
Yeah. Hello, sir. My name is Aurel. What are the benefits of maple syrup? Thank you.
I'm not an expert on maple syrup, so we could probably after this change the topic to the mountains where I can talk a little more. But some of the benefits of maple syrup is it's actually got a lot of high mineral content because the trees are pulling in the water from the earth as it rains. It's bringing in the mineral content. And if you look at the different colors of maple syrup, it's actually the different times of year that the sap is being harvested. So the darkest one will have the most mineral content, and there are a lot of really beneficial minerals in that for you. Other than that, it is high in sugar, so you do have to be careful. It's you can't eat too much of it, although it is delicious. But it could be better for you than a super refined white sugar, for example, because it has a little bit more nutrients.
Who else? Siapa lagi?
Yes?
Meita.
Hello, sir. My name is Meita. I want to ask you something, but maybe this is off topic, which is maple syrup. But I want to know if I want to study in Canada, could you please tell me how much it costs for a foreign student to live there? Thank you. Is that clear?
Yep. Really answer that as easily. But I think it's something that people do save up for. There's quite a few expenses. I know if you want to study abroad, it can be a little bit expensive, but I will say there are a lot of scholarships available, and I would highly recommend you apply for those. I've known a number of students that have traveled and studied in Canada on scholarship, and it's been a really important way for them to be able to travel abroad, not just to Canada, but to see the world. So I think that's a really good way. Which means joining programs like this and continuing to practice English, I think is really important. And when I was a student, I don't know about Indonesia, how it is here, but in Canada, when I was a student, there was a lot of scholarships that weren't claimed because people didn't apply for them. That might not be the case here, but always apply. You never know when you're going to get it. And keep practicing because there's other opportunities as well outside of just scholarships. People, I think, really value bilingual students, workers. If you have any skills and you're bilingual, you can take that abroad.
Study abroad, especially in Canada, you can search some info to get some scholarship, Meita. Betul ya? Jadi bisa searching, cari tahu kira-kira ada scholarship yang bisa you apply misalnya.
My name is Mohammad. I want to ask about Canadian culture, sing a song, dance, or traditional games.
Perfect. That's a good question. A very mixed culture. We have people from all different countries. It's a country of immigrants, except for the Indigenous people of Canada. And we call those Indigenous people, often they're called the First Nations, because they are individual nations who have their own cultures and understanding, and their own dances and their own languages. within Canada, we do have pop music. We do have really popular bands, really amazing artists. Some of the bands help me out.
Justin Bieber is from
Justin
Canada.
Bieber is Canadian.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nickelback is Canadian. Have you heard of Nickelback? Americans have heard of Nickelback. Yeah, there's. I don't know if you've heard of any Canadians, but there's a lot for sure.
Hello, sir. My name is Suji Lerabakar. I want to ask, what Indonesian food do you like? Thank you.
Okay. My favorite Indonesian food is probably rendang. It's real good. My next favorite food, there's so many. We had soto ayam today, it's really good. Mee goreng is always world famous. In Canada, where I live in my town, there is actually not a very large Indonesian population. Including Dila, I think there is about 2 or 3 Indonesians in my town. My town is pretty small. But all the grocery stores carry Indomie because it's so good. So it's very popular there. But I love the authentic mee goreng. It's way better than Indomie. But it's nice when you're in Canada and you want a quick snack, you can still grab some Indomie.
Take this opportunity to practice speaking English with
Kieran.
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 Yeah. Okay.
Hello, Eva. I would like to ask, do you have a genres of music that you like? And do you have any musicians or bands from Canada that you would like to recommend?
So, one of my local favorites is a band you've probably never heard of, but they play in my town sometimes, and it's a mix of electronic music and some harmonica, some guitar, some banjo. The band is called Moontricks. They're based out of Canada. They're a Canadian artist, and their electronic dance music is one of my favorites. So highly recommend you check them out.
Hello, sir. My name is Silvio, and you can call me Del. So I heard you mention about mountains earlier, and I want to ask you, what's your favorite? Do you like climb mountains? And if you do, what mountains would you recommend for a beginner to climb in Canada? Thank you.
My wife and I actually met at a rock climbing gym, and that's where we first started talking to each other. And from that point, we've been climbing together for quite some time. There are a lot of different types of mountains to climb. There's a lot of difficulties, but I think you can start at a very easy level. You can even start indoors and learn the skills. I think that's a great way of doing it. One of the things that a lot of visitors might say is, I'm going to climb a mountain. And they actually mean I'm going to hike up a mountain. Not to be confused. There are so many beautiful hikes that you can do around Canada where you get to the top of a mountain, but you don't need any ropes. You don't need to have any equipment. It's not easy. It's still a challenge, but you can do it. And I would start with hiking the mountains first, and then learn the skills, the respect for the mountains, so that when you get to the mountaineering and climbing, it's a lot easier. Is to actually pick up a local guidebook, because when you're looking at the local guidebooks, wherever you are, they will give you the difficulty relative to each other hikes. And I think that's really valuable because when you look online and you see people reviewing a hike on, say, All Trails or on Google Maps, that might be the hardest trail they've ever done in their lives, but it's relatively easy to other people. So, always recommend picking up a local guidebook. It gives you way more information, way more relevant information. A lot of hikes are in the Banff area or around Kananaskis, that's where I live. I think it's worth exploring. I don't want to give a specific recommendation in case everybody starts doing that one and it gets it really busy. But I think it's worth visiting, talking to the local visitor centers, picking up a guidebook. I think that's the best way to learn which mountain you can start with. Is anybody curious about what we do for work in Canada? Yeah? So, Dila, she actually started a company. When she came to Canada, she started a journey through high school. She actually came to Canada, as I mentioned, and I hope it's okay that I talk about you a little. Yep. When Dila came to Canada, as I mentioned, she didn't speak English too well, but she learned it in high school, graduated high school, and then she actually did a business diploma. And then she learned about business, learned about different skills, and then she actually started her own business called Dila Prithvi Photography. This is the website she's pulling up right now. And you can see it's her name on it. She started it from the ground up and grew it into a very successful company. What we do, and I was lucky enough to be able to join her full time because of all the hard work that she put in. She built this website and she got all the clients, and because of that, I was actually able to leave my previous job selling industrial cybersecurity and start working with her. And what we do is we hike up mountains with couples to do what we call non-traditional weddings. So in Canada, there's a lot of ways to get married. One of the ways is you could go to the top of the mountain and say your vows and actually be married up there. So you can see these are the northern lights, the aurora borealis. This couple, they actually decided when they reached out to us, they just wanted to have themselves and exploring the mountains together, and they really wanted to try and see the northern lights on their wedding day, which is actually pretty rare. We were like, well, we can try. But when they landed, we saw some really cool activity happening. So as soon as they landed, we were like, come out and meet us in the mountains in the dark, and we will see the northern lights. And we did that. And then on their next day, on their wedding day, we explored the lake. We got to see different places. And then we got to see the northern lights again. This is another couple that decided to hike up to the top of a mountain, and you can see this is October, I believe. So there's a bit of snow on the top of the mountain. They got to hike, and there's a shot Dila took, the same couple. So they said their vows to each other and all the promises that they wanted to make. And then when they finished, they obviously took a lot of photos, and more photos. And then they hiked back down. So when we hike up to the top of the mountain, we don't wear the wedding dress and the suit. We actually change into it on top. So they changed back into their outfits. There they are celebrating, cheering. And you can see how cold it is. So it was probably, I would say, -5 up there, maybe -10. That's them changing into their outfits for the first time. And they actually haven't seen each other in their wedding outfits yet. So they got to do what we call a first look together. And that's his first time seeing her in her wedding dress. Really beautiful moment. And this is where they said their private vows to each other and said, I love you. Yeah. And then afterward, there was this really special moment. I just want to say, like, they forgot about us, or about Dila. They didn't even know Dila was there taking photos at that moment. And then afterwards, they hiked back down and they had an official ceremony just with their close family. It was really beautiful. They were right on the lakeside. So that's a little bit about what we do in the mountains. Does anybody have any questions about that?
Curious about how you and Miss Dila carry the camera and a lot of things to the top of the mountain to do photography. Yeah.
Perfect. That's a great question. Yeah. So doing all the equipment herself. And then if I was able to take time off work, or if it was on a weekend and I wasn't working, I would help her carry the gear. We use backpacks. It's all us. There's nobody helping us out. Now that I work with Dila full-time, I'm carrying my own cameras. And then we're also carrying other things, like we carry blankets for the couple because it's cold on top, and things to make them comfortable. We carry other equipment, lighting equipment, things like that. It's all on our back. It's us carrying it. So what we tell the couple is, we will take our time, because they're often carrying a little bit more than usual as well, because they're carrying their wedding dress and their suit and their dress shoes and everything. So we take some time, we go slowly, jalan jalan. Yeah, and once you get to the top, we're often doing this before sunrise. And here, you guys often wake up around 4 a.m. That's pretty normal. Around sunrise here, or just before you start moving that, I just want to say sunrise here in June, which is the start of our summer, is about 5 in the morning, which means we have to get up to the top before that time and with enough time to get dressed and everything, because sunrise is the best time for photos, of course. So we will start hiking often at 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning, or sometimes even earlier, so we can get the cool shots. So this is another couple who decided to do a sunrise hike and start hiking. First thing, I'll move closer to the TV so you don't have to look at me and the TV at the same time. They decided to start hiking, I believe 3 in the morning. When it was dark, they had headlamps on. This is just a highlight, but they had some headlamps on, and then they changed into their outfits and had their first look. Again, that was his first time seeing her and her first time seeing him in their wedding outfits. Oh, and this is my town. That's my house. Oh, sorry. Yeah. That's the town, so we're actually hiking up on a mountain just outside of the town. So you can see it all below, it's still sleeping. Okay, just do it like this. Yeah, there's a lot of love on these hikes, I will say. And this was a really special moment, so they got to see the sunrise. This is the types of mountains we have. It's called the Rocky Mountains. You can tell they're Rocky Mountains because of all the rocks. but they're actually pretty young mountains. So that means that they're quite jagged. They're quite, they got those sharp peaks because they were created through the tectonic plates colliding. And so you can see all the different layers. Papak over there, he can actually answer a lot of questions about the geology of these mountains because that's his expertise. Yeah. This is where this couple decided to say their vows to each other. So this is where I was standing. I walked all the way along here on the steep cliff to get the shot. And then Dila's down here taking some really cool photos of them with the sky and the sunlight in the background. And actually the previous photo that you saw, that was where Dila was taking it from. So that's where they decided to say their vows. You can see it's getting zoomed in more. And that's where they were standing right there. And the neat thing about getting married like this, so this couple also decided to have a wedding with all of their family as well. So a lot of times the weddings in Canada are a little bit smaller than here in Indonesia. But they decided to have all of their family as well. So you can see they're having some fun. This is what we call an alpine meadow. It's a really cool spot to be on. So the next day, because they wanted to sleep after that big hike, they decided to have a wedding with all of their family. So they said their private vows, and then they get to say their ceremonial vows with all the official stuff to make them legally married. So they get to meet with their moms. I'm sure you guys do the same thing. Their dads. It's really beautiful moments. They get to get ready together and then have some first looks at their family and their friends and their bridesmaids. So this is how Canadians traditionally get married. This is a more traditional way. And then I'll go through this a little bit fast. And so this is one of the areas where I live. This is the lakeshore. So this is in Banff National Park, right where we live. So you can see the mountains behind it. And yeah, have some fun. These are all the photos Dila took. She does such an amazing job, eh? The funny thing is, so in Banff, you can't have a very large ceremony at a lot of places because it's a national park. So what this couple did was they decided to get married on a boat. And so that boat that you just saw in the previous photo, that was where they're having their ceremony. And you can see they have people on both sides. There's about 40 people on the boat. So it's not a huge wedding, but it's a pretty good size. And the grandma, Yanti, she was actually officiating the wedding to make it. So she married the couple. And they had some bubbles afterwards. Lots of love here. And that's the whole family. So afterwards they had a nice big celebration. I think it's gonna restart. They had a nice big celebration with each other, lots of wedding speeches, and dancing, lots of food, of course, lots of everything. Yeah. Any questions on any of that? I know, of course, was born in Puerto Rico, and she immigrated to Canada, and she started this business to do this with couples. And this is because she was able to learn English. All the writing and everything that you saw on the website, that was her who did that. That wasn't me. I cannot take any credit for any of that. As I've joined, I'm starting to help out and do things, but from the ground up, Dila built the company, and that's starting as somebody who didn't speak English and learned it as a second language and practiced so much that now she can speak fluently so that Canadians don't even know she has an accent. Yeah. Really amazing.
Applause for Mbak Dila. Okay, great. Okay, well, is there any question? Ada lagi nggak? By the way,
I'm a little bit curious about your job. What do you love about your job besides working with your wife and other things? So that's maybe my question.
It's a good question, and thank you. I love my job because we get to be with couples on one of the most amazing days of their life, where they get to celebrate their connection with each other in a way that's meaningful to them. I love my job because we get to be outdoors, we get to be creative, we can actually take time to explore. Now, I want to just mention, a lot of people take photos. You've probably all taken photos on your phone. Pretty easy to take photos. But it takes a lot of work to build a photography company and actually make money off of it. But once you do that, once you put in that hard work, it's really rewarding. And behind the scenes, when we're not taking photos, we're building a business. We're doing all the business development, meaning marketing, sales, finance, administration, all of those things Dila and I do together. I love working with Dila, doing all of that. And it's once we get to see the final result, I think it's one of the coolest things I've ever done. I love it.
yeah, something that you have to know that we have bilingual class. So like something that is, we say, can motivate you. Motivate to speak in English, to photographer and videographer. Okay, this job is amazing. I think you can learn about how to be a photographer and videographer with Mas Kieran and Mbak Dila. So you can maybe consult it how to be a good videographer and photographer gitu ya. Kenapa? Karena ternyata sebuah pekerjaan yang bagus sekali, bisa menghadap alam ya kalian ya. Itu kemudian kalian bisa dapat istilahnya or maybe email, maybe sending email, etc. Okay. We all are happy having you here, and I believe that all of the students here get something. It's useful for them, I think.
I hope so. I hope you guys had a fun time. This was not very planned, I will say. So the fact that you guys all came here and we were able to talk and ask questions. This is my first time in Indonesia, so I think it's really amazing to be here and meet with all of you. Thank you so much. Terima kasih banyak.
Sama-sama.
Well, for the very first time. But then once we try and work through it, we get to it. And I think as you guys practice, and practice, you will get better and better and better. Don't be hard on yourself. If somebody doesn't understand you the first time, that's okay. I think if I was hard on myself and I'm trying to learn Indonesian, I'd probably be stuck in a house and be scared of coming out and talking to anybody. So give yourself forgiveness. This is difficult. English itself is a language that is way more difficult than Indonesia because the rules of English don't make any sense. But once you kind of understand them more and more and more, it'll start to click. It'll start to make sense. All the grammar rules, all the the little nuances, all the tenses, past participles, all the little things you're learning in English class, those will actually make sense together. But the most important thing is that you just keep trying and communicating. And that's how you learn. I think there's so many different ways to learn things. If learning in a class is working well for you, that's amazing. But if you need to learn by doing and talking to another person, I think that's a great way to go about it. And then I hope you guys come and visit Canada. I would love to see all of you. I think that would be such an amazing journey for you guys. And keep studying. Always keep studying. I think that's actually one thing I wanted to quickly mention, because nobody asked us about videography and photography, but I was hoping somebody would ask, how do you be a good videographer? And my answer would be the same as English. Always keep learning. It never stops. Just be curious, study hard, take in as much information as you can, search it out. Sometimes there's more information that works for you outside of school, and that gives you a step up in school, and it will help you get those scholarships. So outside of school, take the time to find opportunities to speak English, learn it with each other, and help each other learn as well.
Thank you so much.
Bila mundur lagi ke Indonesia, insya Allah they are ready to visit you, ya, semuanya bisa Skype atau video, kalau siap dia bantu ya. Oke. For yourself?
Wow, it's beautiful.
This is hard to make. Susah. Terima kasih. Lucu.
Tapi dimakan lokasi. Iya, makannya. Tapi kamu sebelah belakang itu ya, dibagi. Ini juga. Aku pasangannya sama. Pasangannya di belakang. Oh sama ya belakang ya. Dua, di tepi berdua ya, sama Viola. Ini juga berdua ya. Oleh sama depan. Iya. Oh ya. Apa ya?
Club is not just about learning English. Every meeting is a step toward a brighter future. So, what are you waiting for? Let's join us and become a part of English Club.